Hi everyone, welcome. In this video, I'm going to share how to reconnect to your goddess wisdom and intuition forever and never be hurt again. So, what I'm about to share in this video has been kind of dropping in over the last couple weeks, and it's really profound when it comes to reconnecting to your goddess power and feminine energy. And to put it simply, and I'm going to share at the end of the video something really powerful as well, but to put it simply, we are in connection with the goddess constantly. And the way we communicate with her, or the way she is communicating with us, is through feelings, sensations, and emotions. That's the language of the goddess. As you go about your day, you may experience having moments of feeling really good and moments of not feeling so good. This is the goddess communicating with you. And I want to take a moment to pause and say hi. Hi, Lauren. Welcome. If you're here live, tell us where you're from and feel free to ask questions throughout this video if anything pops up. So this isn't going to be a super long video, but most important thing that I want you to look at is we're constantly receiving messages from her as to what is feeling good and what is not feeling good. She is teaching us how to be in alignment with our feminine energy and our feminine power. And she's also teaching us when we're not in alignment with that power. So when you are having thoughts that feel not so good, when you're doing something that is ultimately not creating a very good experience, when you are being in a way that isn't rewarding you with a sensation of, okay, this feels good. She's basically saying this is not in alignment. This is not a match to me and my power and what I need in order to feel honored and met. Awesome. Hi, Sacred Yin. Oh, hello. Welcome. Hi, Selva. Hi, Lauren. Welcome. Great to see you. So one of the things I see, and we'll just talk about relationship for a moment, whether you're in a relationship or single, your mindset around relationship tells you a lot about whether you're in alignment with your power as a woman and the goddess or not. If you're having thoughts about relationship that feel good to you, and they're hopeful and they're excited and they are trusting and they are empowering, then you are having thoughts that are in alignment with the goddess and her power. If you're having thoughts about relationship that are doubtful and insecure, if they are even like longing and yearning and a little bit of that desperate energy, you are having thoughts and being in a certain way that is out of alignment with the goddess and her power. The way that we communicate and connect with our goddess power is through our feelings. It's the way that we feel, the emotions that we have, the sensations that we experience. This is what is our connection with the goddess. So she is always here communicating with us, and it's up to us to begin to listen to her communication. So I titled this video, How to Connect to the Goddess Wisdom and Your Intuition Forever, and How to Never Be Hurt Again. So I added that last part, how to never be hurt again, because ultimately, we all are experiencing challenges. We all experience challenges. And in love relationship, you may have experienced being hurt in the past, and or maybe even mistreated in the past. And these are real things. These are real experiences. But the thing that we need to get to as women is recognizing that it's fully up to us whether or not we are allowing certain behavior around us. If we're taking something personally or we're taking on the energy, then we are making someone else's stuff about us. And that's not in alignment with the goddess. She does not take things personally. She's able to discern and see the truth, and therefore nothing that is said or done can ultimately, if it's not in alignment and a match to her beauty and power and worth, it just doesn't get in. So when we're feeling hurt, we're actually abandoning our truth in those moments. We're abandoning our power, our integrity, our alignment, and our grace as women. And we are allowing ourselves to match a lower frequency. But if you tune into, that person's words don't feel good to me right now, or this behavior, the way that this person is, not texting me on a regular basis, or making love to me physically, something's off, something doesn't feel good. That is the goddess saying, this is out of alignment with me. This is not a match to my beauty and my power. When you have a feeling that feels off and something doesn't feel good, it's the goddess letting you know that there is a different direction to steer to. And she's constantly communicating with us. She's constantly wanting us to find that alignment that is honoring of her. So in this, you are constantly being guided and taught by the greatest divine feminine force of all. The goddess energy within you is constantly communicating what is in alignment with you and your power and what is not. The challenge is that in our current day, we've been so sort of discombobulated and confused. Really, we've been kind of confused, and we've suppressed that communication. We've suppressed and blocked that communication, and instead of believing and this is really interesting. For so long, I remember my therapist that I worked with for many, many years, she kept saying, she was like, you're not listening to your body. You're not listening to your body. And I was like, like I'm trying to, I don't know what that means. What does that mean? And I finally, like 3 years later, 5 years, from the first time she said that to me, like 5 or 6 years ago, I finally am getting it. And what I feel like she meant is that we are always being guided by our body as to what is true for us and what's in alignment with us and what's not. But so often we go against the messages of the body, and we allow or we stay in situations that don't feel good, even though our body is literally screaming at us, this doesn't feel good. And it doesn't mean that we have to leave relationships or leave work scenarios or leave friendships, but it is a call to advocate for your truth and come in and be committed to coming into alignment in your life. And if that means that things fall down and fall away, wonderful, because you have a new commitment, and that is to be in alignment with your power and your truth, and for the goddess energy to truly run through you, and for nothing to be in between you and the expression of her. I don't know if that makes sense, but I'll just pause for a moment and say hello. If anyone has any comments or questions, feel free to share in the chat. What I'm talking about today it's honestly, I have not received information or wisdom that feels this important in a really long time. So I'm excited to share it with everyone. It, to me, feels like all you ever need to know when it comes to connecting to your feminine power and energy. You don't need anyone. You don't need any coach, any guide, any teacher, any mentor. If you learn how to connect to your body's signals and the wisdom of the goddess within you. Again, the way to do that is to tune into what is feeling good and what's not feeling good. I would say with women, what we've been conditioned into is to we know that something doesn't feel good, but we will then question it and kind of, I know for myself, it's like, okay, that doesn't feel good, but I question it and I try to change myself and I try to transform myself to try to kind of match the external circumstance or the external environment. Or I'll be like, okay, I'm having like a desire or an intuition, but maybe I just need to kind of push that down um, and not, maybe that's unreasonable. Maybe I need to change something about myself so that this is a better fit externally, whether it's in work or relationship or friendship, anything. And what I'm starting to do now in my life is when I have a hit of discomfort, something doesn't feel right or good or aligned, I am beginning to trust it so deeply and recognize that feeling of discomfort is my body saying this is not aligned with us and our power and our truth. So imagine a world, imagine your reality, your life, where you truly listened to those signals of your body and there was not a single day that continued that you ignored or denied that intuition, but instead became the strongest advocate of what feels good for you. And yes, exactly. So what Selwa is saying, like, you don't have to leave, but the quote of "you don't have to leave, but it's a signal to advocate for your truth." Yes. So that's kind of the point here is I think one of the stages that we're at right now, or at least in my life, one of the stages that we're at right now in our empowerment process as women and growth and healing is really looking at finally listening to our body. And this is something that hit me too. In the past, when we were in like tribes, I really believed that when a woman cried, it was such a big deal. The entire tribe would orient around the cries of that woman and take it super seriously. Because if a woman was crying, there is something that is off. There's something that's out of alignment. But I think what's happened is that so many things are out of alignment that, at least in my life, like I cry all the time. And for a long time I was like, why do I cry so much? Like, what is wrong with me? Why do I have so much emotion? But the reality is the goddess wisdom within me is tuning into the misalignments and like what's not true in the world around me, in my own personal life even. And it's trying to adjust and find that alignment. So when we are now in this age and stage where we sort of like take our cries, we in men even don't know how to handle it. Instead of orienting toward, I mean, there's still this, I was in part of a men's panel and we were communicating, and one of the things that they said is that when a woman does cry, it does feel like their sympathetic nervous system turns on. It's like the stress response. I need to solve this problem, fix, or flee even. Like, what's going on? What's wrong? Because the woman is the connection to this wisdom, this like inner intuition, the deep knowing. And in the old system, in our tribal way of life, I truly see and have seen this, that, even the way that we're connected to our cycles, we were looked to for much of that inner guidance and wisdom. And if you've done some of the archetype work with me and the work with the queen and the king energies, the queen she's one of the main important forces of leadership, because there's this inner knowing, this inner guidance that she receives and communicates with the king. It's absolutely key. So if we are denying and ignoring the inner wisdom that we hold, by not tuning in and truly advocating for what feels good and what doesn't feel good, but ignoring it, suppressing it, denying it, trying to change our way so we don't feel that, then we are basically like putting, tape over the goddess's mouth. And she holds this, she's always in alignment and integrity and truth. That is her. And so you are her, but how often do you disconnect or deny those bad feelings that are her guidance system of, no, we need to go a different way. This is not aligned with us. And then what happens when we do that is we get ourselves in situations where we know something's off, something's misaligned, and we haven't advocated for our truth. And then certain relationships or work scenarios, like all these things are slightly off. And then we can feel resentful or like we're not being seen or cared for in the way that feels good. But that is up to us. And that's the recognition that, the part of the title of this video, that to never be hurt again, comes from recognizing that it's fully up to us as women to communicate what works for us and what doesn't. It's all up to us. And if we're in a situation that feels abusive or not honoring, it is because we allowed that energy in. If you truly listen to yourself from the start, you have the power to say no. You have the power to remove yourself. But it's like we're tuned out of that connection and that communication. So you don't ever have to be hurt again. We don't ever have to be hurt again, because if something is said or done outside of ourselves and we tune in and we say, oh, wow, that those words that were said or this situation doesn't feel good. This is not my truth. This is not my alignment. This is not a match to me. Then whatever's happening, A, has nothing to do with us. B, we don't have to be affected by it because we say no. So in that moment, we're advocating for a life of integrity, of being with the goddess, where you say no to what does not honor her. And that's how we live a life where we're not actually ever hurt, because we're only hurt when we abandon ourselves. We are the ones that allow ourselves to be dishonored by not listening to that hit of, ooh, that does not feel good. So is this making sense? I want to see if I can twist and turn and communicate this in a way that is really impactful. So let me know if you have any questions or comments. Hi, Tiffany from Florida. Hello, Evelyn. Hi, North Carolina. Hi, Angela. So I'm just going to kind of pause for a moment and tune in and see if anyone has any comments or questions. Yeah, Sarah, my pleasure. Thank you. So I'm just going to wait and see what else is coming. Yeah, your words make me so thankful to be a woman. I've never heard such advocacy for a woman's feelings. Something as simple as praising woman's nature empowers me so much. Beautiful. How do you not take things personally? That's a great question. I mean, I'm not perfect at it. I definitely am not. I'm not perfect at it. I do take things personally, but I think it's one of those practices where the more I tune into, yes, beautiful. Love these questions. Thank you, Scylla. How do we communicate that boundary from a feminine place? So the more we tune into what feels good to us and what doesn't feel good, we start to build self-trust. What makes it really hard to not take things personally is when we haven't built trust with our inner communication system. And that's, I think, where most of us are at, because we've been pushing down the inner intuitive hits that, okay, this doesn't feel good to me. We try to make a situation feel good, rather than just from the start. I remember I was in a relationship 7 years ago, and my ex-partner, he kept his ex-girlfriend in his life in a way that was really she was a big part of his life. And I don't think there's anything wrong with being in connection with your ex-partner. It's going to be an amazing evolved thing. But they would have dinners together. And it was like this emotional intimacy and reliance that I experienced him still having on her. And at that time, I loved him so much. I wanted to make it work so much. I was fully in love with him, that I did everything I could to try to alchemize the feeling that I was having in my body, which was, this does not feel good. This situation doesn't feel good for me. And was so triggered by the experience. But the way I dealt with it was, okay, well, I want to be with you, so I need to, and this is something that is going to be, so I guess I need to work on changing this feeling that I have. And I worked so hard on trying to change this inner discomfort I had around this situation. In the end, the lesson from the goddess was not to be okay with that situation. The lesson from the goddess was, you're not okay with that situation because your truth is a different situation. Your truth is a higher level of devotion and commitment. Your truth is not this. But because I questioned those feelings and I thought maybe I need to change, I was in this wishy-washy territory with myself, the external world, and the goddess. And I wasn't fully in alignment with just trusting the feeling that I had, which doesn't work for me. In work situations recently, there's been some working with an amazing agency, but there were things that were being put up that I hadn't seen, and they were being put on the internet, and it was not, like, the words and the images, like, were not in alignment with me. And I was like, okay, I need to, like, at first that old pattern of, okay, like, how do I make myself feel okay with this? What's the right mindset? How can I adjust? But in the end, the lesson from the goddess was not to change myself to fit into that situation. The lesson from the goddess was, this doesn't work for you. There's a higher alignment that needs to happen, and you get to advocate for yourself. So to not take things personally, we get to, this is kind of an interesting way of answering that question, but do you see how in both of those examples, I was questioning myself? But if I have deep trust in the goddess communication, if something doesn't feel good, I know that is true. I know that it's truth that something's not in alignment with me, and I can't do it. It's not even that I don't want to, it's I can't. In order for me to be in integrity with myself, in order for me to keep my word with myself, which is to honor, love, and be in truth with my alignment, I can't be in that relationship. I can't have those ads up in the form that they're in right now. I can't. It's not that I don't want to, I can't, because I would be abandoning myself and out of integrity with my truth. So I really feel that when someone is saying something to us, for example, and it doesn't feel good, the only reason it could ever really hurt us is if we believe those words. But if we're believing those words, we're actually abandoning ourselves, because it's kind of the same thing. It's like, it's not trusting the feeling of, ooh, that doesn't feel good. That doesn't feel good because it's simply not my truth. It's not in alignment with me. When we know, okay, that doesn't feel good, that's not my truth, and we trust that feeling, people can say whatever, and it doesn't sway us. It doesn't, like, get us off our throne. It doesn't budge anything, because we are rock solid in that integrity and our truth. So in that, because we get so committed to our inner wisdom and who we really are, people can be manipulative and mean and, like, coming from a lower frequency. And as the goddess, because what you're really doing is tuning yourself to the frequency of the goddess and fully matching her wisdom and her power. So we can kind of, like, things can happen around us that are out of alignment with truth. But as the goddess, you're just like, you have, like, this shield, and it's like things come and they just kind of, because your truth shield is seeing through all of the manipulation and distortion that is around you. Does that make sense? So to not, it's when you get to know who you really are, and that comes from really listening to what feels good and what doesn't feel good to you. What does not feel good to you is telling you who you are. It's saying, that's not who I am. That's not in alignment with me. Same with what feels good is saying, this is who I am. You know, this form of treatment, this way of being treated and loved and honored, this is a match to who I am. So to not take things personally, when we take things personally, it's a sign that we don't fully own who we are. We question who we are. We question ourselves. So we're still letting the outer world define us. But when you don't question who you are, nothing can redefine you. No, nothing mean, nothing misaligned can redefine you, because you're so effing solid in who you are that it doesn't budge you. It doesn't roll in. Yeah. So I feel so passionate about this right now. This has been my work recently in the last 8 months of my life. This has been what I'm working on. So I actually feel emotional, like I could cry. It feels like so big, this information. Yeah. Oh, I'm so happy to hear that. Solo says, this frequency you're tapping into is so in alignment with what I've been seeking to understand. Thank you. Yes, absolutely. So, okay, Solo, wow, that's the key I've been looking for. Trusting our feelings of discomfort isn't always rooted in insecurity. It's something rooted in our soul's direction for realignment. Oh, that is such a beautiful way of saying it. Exactly. And that's like kind of the far extreme of the personal development world is, okay, if I have a trigger, then there's something that's unresolved in me. But I'm kind of getting to a place where if I have a trigger, there's something that's off. If I have a trigger, there's something that's off. Like something's not right. Something's not in alignment. And, there's a fine line but our inner wisdom, the goddess is going to take us through those lessons, and we will learn that on our own. So it's not like we're never going to be doing the work of getting to our next level, of clearing away true trauma. But, there's things often we actually are being guided by our inner guidance system. So, all right. So I want to answer this last question here. How do we communicate that boundary from a feminine place and communicating new boundaries that we have learned from our old self to new self? Okay. Self to our new self. Yeah. So sometimes we enter into a relationship and we are less evolved than we are now because that's just how it happens. Like we grow and expand and evolve. And so, there's this really interesting thing that can happen where you may begin to realize, okay. And actually, before I go any farther, I'm going to answer this question, but I put a link in the box below the bio of this video, and it's a link to check out the mentorship program that I'm leading. And we're starting again in the new year, except we're doing 2 bonus calls in December. And it's a really deep process. If you're wanting to get into a new love relationship, or you're in a love relationship and you want to go deeper, it is targeted toward love and romance being sort of the byproduct. But the way that we go through that process is it's a deep activation of your inner wisdom and power as a woman. So it's deep connection to the goddess and your true divine feminine energy, reawakening this wisdom so that you become ultimately this activator of this higher frequency on the planet. And as we can see, there's a lot of growth and transformation happening. And those who are in this community and in this field and doing this kind of work, you ultimately are becoming leaders and healers in your own presence in the world. So this mentorship program is really designed for those women who are at that level and want to go even farther. So check out that link if you have time and are interested in doing more of this work with me. So how to communicate these boundaries from a feminine energy approach and language. So sometimes we get into a relationship and it's in alignment with where we were, and then we evolve and we grow and things change and we learn. One thing that I've noticed is we can kind of get into relationships and sometimes we self-sacrifice what it is that we really, really want because we want love so much. We are willing to kind of let go and soften the blow, or not soften the blow, but we're just like, okay, well, I really want this. This is my vision for my life, that this person is here presenting this thing. And it's not exactly in alignment with those wants, needs, and desires, but because I want love and it's presenting itself, I'm going to just like ignore my, wants, needs, and desires and get into this relationship. And, or you're in a relationship and you're feeling like something's off. I'm not fully receiving exactly what I want or my needs. And or things are great. And it really comes down to whether or not you're in a partnership where you can evolve together and work on these things together, because you can get through anything. You really can. And relationships are supposed to bring up all of it so that you can get through it and transform together. But when you go through this process of growth and reclaiming who you really are, the goddess, and you get so committed to your truth, there are going to be things that you might need to recommunicate or declare and advocate in your relationship. And asking for your needs is different than advocating for your needs or being committed to your needs. If you are committed to your needs being met, the needs that you cannot go without, the needs that are make it or break it, if you don't have these things, you are not going to be as powerful as you could be. When you start to take those needs seriously, you recognize that that not having this need met means that I am going to be a weaker, less powerful, less aligned version of myself. And that is not what I'm committed to. That's not what I'm committed to. When you are committed to yourself and your needs, and you know that it's not an option not to get those needs met, then suddenly relationship becomes much more empowering, because you're not at the whim of what someone else can provide. You're basically saying, I'm going to get this need met because it's a non-negotiable. I am committed to my life. I'm committed to living a life that is in alignment with the goddess. I cannot be in a situation that is not honoring, that is not fully supportive. It doesn't work for me. It's not a match. When you have that mindset and perception, then it's so easy to communicate what you want and you need, because the fear of someone saying no is suddenly not a big deal. Because if they say no, the need is still going to get met somehow. I think that's what is really scary when we're in a relationship and we have needs and we are afraid to communicate them, is because there's a fear of, well, what if that person says no and they don't want to, or they can't provide that for me or meet me there. That's what's really scary. But it's only scary because of course it's scary because it is possible that they say no. When you are not committed to the need, then you're put in a situation where if you're more committed to the person than you are getting your need met, then you have to go without your need, But if you're fully committed and honoring of the inner wisdom of the goddess, who is the source of that desire and need and intuition, then you can say, you can actually leave the situation, and or be willing to leave the situation and say, okay, I hear that you're unable to meet that, and I'm committed to this. So this is a non-negotiable for me. And again, it's not. It's different than like what's the word when you have a ultimatum? It's different than an ultimatum, but it kind of is at the same time. I have many, many, many ultimatums. my ultimatums are created by who I am and what I need and what I desire. And if something on the outside is unable to match that, then it's not worth it, because I know what I need to thrive and shine. I know that when I thrive and shine, the entire world benefits. My partner benefits, my kids benefit, my household benefits, my family and friends, and my entire world benefits when I get those needs met. But we are the only one that can advocate for those needs. You are the only person in your life that can make those needs matter enough to get them met. You're the only person. I'm the only person that can make that matter enough. So, I think before I'll get a little bit more into that answer, but really the biggest takeaway of this whole video is recommitting to your body's wisdom, and what feels good and what doesn't feel good is your guidance system. It is the wisdom and the intuition of the goddess saying, this does not work for us. You have a much bigger, grander, more beautiful, feel-good life that is possible. But we have to start listening to her to make that an option for us. So to ask for our needs, I'm going to quote one of my mentors, Deborah Hardy, and I learned a lot of this from her. Again, I don't teach as much on the how-tos of dating and relationship and being in relationship, but I know enough now. I'm more of like the spiritual esoterics behind it, but but it is important to learn the language of communication. And both Deborah Hardy, I've learned a lot from her. She's amazing. And obviously Allison Armstrong are amazing sources and mentors to go to learn how to actually communicate in a way that's effective to men. What we want to, like with men, it's important to recognize that they want to win. They want to feel like you're doing a good job. They want to feel like your relationship is creating positive energy in their life. And they generally want to feel like positivity and joy, enjoyment, and they want to make you feel good, because again, if you're feeling good, they are benefiting. I was talking to a client last night and realizing this at a whole other level, that when a woman is feeling good, how that benefits a man is so incredible. Because when we feel good as women, we are literally, our heart energy is open and activated. Our sexual energy can be activated. Our creative power and source is flowing and open. So all this creative insight and potential is present. There is so much energy that we can be the source of in that moment. When we don't feel good, all those energy channels like close down and lock out. And we don't bring the same potential of energy. But when we feel good, we are like this force of potential energy. And think about, on a biological and survival level, how that is beneficial to men. Us feeling good and men's pull and the reason that a woman who feels good is magnetizing to a man is because on a biological and survival level, that benefits him. When she's feeling good, that benefits him. When she's not feeling good, that is there's something off. So men are wired on a survival level to make us feel good. And then when we're not feeling good, something's off. But we have forgotten how to advocate for the importance of us not feeling good. We go all the time not feeling good. We allow in our own lives, even without anyone else, we just like allow our lives to not feel good, rather than taking it so seriously that if I'm not feeling good, something is off. And taking that so seriously, something's off, something's way off, something needs to change. But we have to be the person that makes that important and makes that something that matters. So to communicate with a man, really briefly, using feeling statements of Let's see, 1 second. Yeah, if something doesn't feel comfortable, communicating that it doesn't feel comfortable. This is something I really learned from Deborah Hardy, but you can say something's not feeling comfortable to you without hold on. Now, I can't say, I almost can't share this with you yet, but I can share it with you. Yeah, I can't share it publicly, but I can share it in smaller spaces. So hold on 1 second. I'm trying to decide if I should share this right now. There's a difference between complaining and being upset and angry and communicating that something doesn't feel good to you. So communicating that something doesn't feel good and that you would love to feel good, it's important that you feel good, that you need to feel good, and that you'd love support making the situation something that feels good to you. So it can, when you ask a question to a man and you let them almost create the solution to you feeling good, then it's up to them. They're in their power to solve and fix the situation. So when you say instead, like, I can't have this is dishonoring, this is disrespectful to me, then there's a defensiveness that goes up on their side because they're there wanting to make you feel good. When you communicate, this doesn't feel good, can you help me? Can you help me? Or I would absolutely love if we did this. This would feel so good to me. Then you're giving them the opportunity to make it right and come into alignment rather than just saying, this is stupid or this doesn't work for me. It's you're inviting them to bring you somewhere that feels better. So I hope that helps a little bit. How do we transmute the guilt that comes with the fear of disappointing or upsetting someone when we set a boundary, especially if it's new? Oh my gosh. Okay, you guys are asking all the amazing questions that I've been receiving answers to. So I struggle with this a lot. I think a lot of women struggle with this because we are often very empathic, connected to feelings and emotions naturally. Ironically, that doesn't mean that we're always listening to them, but we feel them. We feel them and we'll express them or cry it out, but we don't always make it right for ourselves. Anyway, we can also feel the pain of other people, and that can make it really hard to communicate something that we perceive might make someone else feel uncomfortable. And then that can this goes into the idea of healing codependency. And Angela, I'm going to answer your question in just a second. So, but this has to do with codependency, and ultimately, when we don't make our feelings someone else's job to fix, or let's see, I mean, that's kind of counterintuitive to what I just said, but advocating for us feeling good is different than making it someone else's responsibility for us to feel good. It's up to us. It's actually more in our responsibility to say, oh, that doesn't work for me, or I apologize if it wasn't clear, but this is what I need. Those kinds of communications are actually just being very clear with the world and taking a lot of responsibility for how to honor, how to you're communicating with the world how to treat you. And it is setting a boundary in a way. It's honoring of yourself. But in this moment, we're talking about like codependency. Sorry, I'm talking really fast and I can slow down. So I'm going to slow down. I'm just so excited and I want to try to keep this under an hour. So, okay. Thanks for being patient with me. Okay, so when we are deeply intuitive and empathic as women, we can feel the pain of people that we love, men, and thank you, Sola. of men, our sons, our daughters, our parents. And it's really, really, that's a whole other layer of not being comfortable communicating what we need and our boundaries, because it's really scary sometimes to feel like we could be the source of someone else feeling uncomfortable. But when you take responsibility for your own feelings and you start to advocate for what's in alignment in your life, and you know that that's your job, and if you don't feel good in your life, you're not putting the blame on your partner. You're saying, okay, how have I allowed this? What am I not doing in my life that is in alignment with living a happy, healthy life? You start to take responsibility for that. Then you begin to trust that other people are doing the same thing. And you can say something and communicate it, and just like you're not taking things personally, they're not taking things personally. So in order to break the codependency cycle, we have to stop being codependent ourselves, or allowing people to be codependent on us. I work on this a lot with my friends, because sometimes I can feel like there's a guilt when they can't hang out. And like, I'll text them and say, do you want to hang out? And a couple of my friends are like, I can feel their guilt, like they want to, but they can't. And I say to them, I'm committed to not taking anything that happens in this relationship personally. We can communicate through anything, and I won't take you taking care of yourself personally. I won't take you spending time to do whatever you need to do personally. And I'm helping us. My intention is to break the codependency cycles where we have to be inauthentic and self-abandoned in order to keep the relationships. So to transmute the guilt that comes from the fear of disappointing someone, we get to practice this on our own side and stay in our own lane and communicate with the world that it's not their job to caretake the way we feel. It's okay. We're not going to take it personally. And when we start to do that, when we get in the habit of not taking things personally, then we can trust that the person outside of us is also doing the same thing. And another layer to this is really, really, really big, is I have had a pattern of taking on the pain of especially men in my life, men that I absolutely love, like my dad and my relationship partners, and all of them in the past, and where especially like the deep dark feeling, man, that is just like my kryptonite. But being drawn to those relationships historically. And it's because there's so much depth and there's so much intensity and feeling, and I can feel all of it. And it feels so intimate to feel someone else's pain. But but in truth, in the past, a lot of those relationships, it wasn't healthy for me to take on that person's pain and try to ultimately, I cared for them. It's almost like I was mothering the inner child and the little boy more than I was seeing them as powerful men and kings who could handle their depth and their intensity in this life. So one thing that has been absolutely beautiful, and this is really, really deep, is if whoever it is that you're wanting to communicate with, maybe it's your partner, if you see him as a king, if you close your eyes, and this is what we can all do right now. So we can all do this right now. Close your eyes and imagine a man in your life that you care about, that you love, that you're deeply intertwined with emotionally. Or maybe you haven't fully felt totally in alignment in that relationship. There's perhaps fear of communicating exactly what you want, or hurting their feelings, or putting up a boundary, or asking for your needs to be met. Imagine them as a king. And as you imagine them as a king, communicate with them in that form. Go up to them. They are kings. And you ask them or communicate with them, this doesn't feel comfortable to me, or I would really love if we could do this. And notice what happens. or if you feel that you've been taking on the pain of a man that you love and it's really not your job, if they are kings, how would they handle that situation? What would they want? Would they want you to take on their pain, or what would they want and need from you? Take a deep breath in. All right. So as you come back, we'd love to hear from you. If you could just share in the chat what you saw and what you experienced in that. What did you see when you saw those men or that man as a king? How did he handle the situation? And this is, a lot of the work I've done in Elevated Women for the last 4 years has been us imagining ourselves as these goddesses and discovering how would we act, how would we talk and believe if we were the goddess, because we are, and coming into that alignment and truth. But now there's this new evolution, and it's seeing the men in our lives as kings and trusting them. They are powerful and strong, and they can handle it. They can handle our needs, wants, and desires. They are built to handle so much. And if they can't do that, then if they're not in alignment with that king energy that we envision, you're a match to the goddess. You are a match to the queen. So beautiful, Estrella. Okay, I experienced him taking his emotions back and going to his council for help and telling them not to the queen, don't get the queen doesn't get to be involved to protect me. Oh my gosh, beautiful. Yeah. Okay, I saw myself realizing that plugging into his pain doesn't benefit our kingdom, but instead plugging into myself allowed me trust in the ability to figure things out. Yes, that is so beautiful, Sola. Okay, yes, power is what I felt. He's going to do well. Exactly. When we project when we're so uncomfortable with someone else's pain, we're projecting, it's making it about us. And it's really has more to do with us being uncomfortable with someone else's discomfort, the codependency. And it's also projecting this weakness and lack of strength onto the men in our lives, rather than projecting greatness and I believe in you and trust in them. So it's literally night and day, black and white to what's possible. And it's a really, really powerful exercise. If you're here live and you're not following me, make sure to take a moment to press the subscribe button. And I'm going to be going live and doing more and more videos now. You can also give this video a thumbs up, and that would help us out as well. I'm going to answer one final question and then hop off for the day, but make sure to check out the link below. And I'm going to be doing a really, really deep mentorship program beginning in the new year, and with 2 additional bonus calls to sort of set up the new year. We're actually going to do a lot of vision setting and intention setting in really powerful ways that activate your creative imagination and the goddess in December. So that basically all of that's going to be set up for January and this new beginning. This last question, is it okay to date when you're not fully healed and totally embodied in your truth solidly yet? You're still vulnerable. Should you still put yourself out there while you're doing your self-work? I think yes. I feel yes. You don't have to be perfect to be worthy and ready for love And imagine you're the man that you meet as a king. Does he need you to be perfectly evolved? How would he handle that situation? How would he handle that situation? You know, you can envision someone, a king, meeting you exactly as you are right now, with all your vulnerabilities and processes. And how would he handle that situation? He would not reject you. He would embrace you and see your highest and know that you're on a process and a journey. And he would literally do everything he could to support you and give you what you need to help you step into your power. So you don't have to be, it's also a deep energy leak and drain to believe that we have to be perfect, or that even being more spiritually evolved makes us more valuable. It's absolutely it's kind of like in the spiritual community, it's something, it's a belief system that's sort of getting passed around, that, you know, when I finally have my work done, then I'll be ready, then I'll finally manifest or have what I want come to me. That is a big energy leak, and it's not true. And it will actually forever perpetuate the belief that you how do I say this? Yeah, it's not true that you being better makes you more valuable. That's the belief that is getting passed around. If you follow me on Instagram, I have a post on that um, on both elevated woman and feminine body beauty, that that there's a belief of, if I work on myself and I figure all these things out, then that's going to make me more valuable. And that's one of the deepest beliefs that is holding us back in the spiritual community. And it's perpetuating this like forever broken and never can get what I want until I've healed energy. And that's not true. So you can have it now. We're always going to be in a process. All right. So grateful that the goddess led me to this live. I'll definitely look into the mentorship program. Just got into partnership with my king and looking for how to stay sovereign in holding my crown. Beautiful. Amazing, Sola. Yeah, we'd love to have you. And we already have 5 people who are joining. So these mentorship programs are pretty small. And if you are interested, make sure to join sooner than later, because it is going to fill up since we have quite a bit of time before it starts. So make sure to check it out sooner than later. I'm really tired now. I'm going to take a short nap. And all right. Lots of love. Thanks for joining. Bye-bye.